Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports News. I wanted to jump on and do a recap of yesterday's games Thursday night. Some of those games were really, really good, and some of those games were complete blowouts. I mean, some of them teams, man, they walked up into those big college football stadiums and got it handed to them. But guess what? They walked out with a fat check, though. And listen, ain't nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and get that money when you're a smaller college. Get that money, man. Get that money because that's how you keep your institution running. And I ain't mad at you for doing that. But anyway, man, the thing that hurt me yesterday was Max Johnson, the transfer from Texas A&M, season-ending knee injury for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Man, it's sad to see a player go down 2 seasons in a row. I mean, it's sad to see him go down anytime, but 2 seasons in a row, Max Johnson, the quarterback for North Carolina, the transfer from Texas A&M, is lost for the season. So, young man, don't give up. Go ahead, get your surgery, get your rehab in, and come back next year and play your heart out, bro. And don't give up on the game of football. Continue to search for your dream and do your thing out there on that football field. So hopefully you get well soon and you're ready for action next season when the 2025 season starts next year. North Carolina barely pulled out that win over Minnesota. Minnesota missed a last second field goal to give North Carolina that win in that game, which was a really, really good football game. Close games are always good because they keep you on the edge of your seat and you wondering who's going to make a play here and there to win that game for their team. And North Carolina was able to do that because of Minnesota missing that last second field goal. Excellent game, though. It was good to see outside of Max Johnson being hurt for the season. Rutgers pitted on the HBCU Howard team, 44-7. Rutgers, man, listen. I know y'all ran that ball down their throat like you were supposed to, and beat those boys up 44-7. Howard, y'all might want to get that one guy who was coaching y'all a couple of years ago. Uh, I think he went out there to UNLV or somewhere. You might want to go get that guy, man, so you can get back on the map. Also, Wake Forest beat North Carolina A&T, another historically black college 45-13. But hey, I ain't mad. Get that check. Get that check. We need to keep our HBCUs alive and well. Black colleges, hey, listen, every time you can get a college to play, you can go to and play and get that money, go get that money. And my boy, Byron Threet and the UCF team went up, had New Hampshire in their stadium last night, and they beat up on them 57-3 and rushed for 465 yards. 465. Most teams don't get that in a game. They got it rushing 465 UCF over New Hampshire. But guess what, New Hampshire? You got to check too. You got to check too. NC State and Western Carolina was a really good game. NC State, man, listen, you was one of my sleeper teams in the ACC. I'm thinking that you was going to be all that. And maybe you got time to fix some things. But y'all struggled last night against Western Carolina, and they got a check, and they almost handed y'all an L. North Carolina State, y'all got to get it together, man. You got to get it together. Got to get out there and ball out. They barely held on and won that game 38-21. But in the fourth quarter, that game was, I think it was 27-21 in the fourth quarter with like 6 minutes left. So that game was really, really close all the way into the fourth quarter. So good game, Western Carolina. What it showed North Carolina State that you wasn't playing no games. You was trying to come in there and win on their home field. Arkansas beat the snot out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, their little brother. But they gave him some money. But Arkansas, I'm glad you was able to run that score up on them and get yourself some confidence going into that SEC. Because you got a tough road, buddy. You got a tough road. So they beat Arkansas Pine Bluff 70 to nothing. Missouri, another SEC team, beat down Murray State 51 to nothing. Listen, y'all, that Luther Burden kid at wide receiver, he's a beast. He's a beast, man. He's a beast. So Missouri beat up on Murray State 51 to nothing. I was glad to see Kansas State pitted on Lyndon Wood, not Lyndon McKinley, but Lyndon Wood, 48 to 3. Listen, their running back, Devin Neal, 8 carries, 8 carries, 112 yards, and 2 tutties. 2 tutties. That's touchdowns, y'all. Touchdowns. In the first quarter. That was it. He didn't need to do nothing else. 48-3, Kansas. The game that I really, really spent most of my time watching was that Colorado and North Dakota State game. Coach Prime, man, you pulled out a win. But boy, man, listen, you're going to have a long season until you get an offensive and defensive line that can control the line of scrimmage. You are in for a long season. The pressure that North Dakota State was able to put on Shedeur Sanders made no sense. There's no way Colorado should be allowing North Dakota State to put that kind of pressure on their quarterback. Even if they're doing stunts and all these other tricks and pressures and stuff, they should not be able to do that to a Colorado team. In fact, Colorado, you might have lost that game had those referees called that targeting call, because it definitely was targeting, especially when you compare it to some of the whack targetings they done called in some of these games. So Colorado, you got out that game with the win. And I'm going to tell you right now, Shedeur Sanders, you balled out, bro. You balled out. But that Travis Hunter, man, he different. Listen, he different. Now, you ain't going to be able to play all them plays both ways once you get into that Big 12 schedule. But right now, ball out, bro. Whenever y'all playing a team that y'all supposed to whoop up on, ball out. Play as many plays as you can. Because once you get in that Big 12, you ain't going to be able to do that. But you can ball out until you get there. And you balled out last night, bro. I was impressed. Not that I thought you couldn't do it, but man, I seen something different in you in that game, especially when that game on the line. You and Shedeur Sanders, man, listen, y'all connect. And Joe Horn, you balled out too, bro. So I'm glad y'all got that win. But man, y'all got to fix them offensive and defensive lines. Otherwise, y'all gonna have a long season. Y'all might only win 4 games again. Another game that was a blowout, 49-0. Utah beat Southern Utah. The thing I like about these blowouts and these games is these schools that are big in their state are playing the smaller schools in their state so they can get that money and keep the money in the state. That's just brilliant. That is brilliant. That's why I don't get mad at Ohio State playing the Akrons, the Bowling Greens, the Miami of Ohio's, those teams like that. Because keep that money in your state. That's only smart. That's good business. That's what you're supposed to do. And Utah did that last night, spanking up on Southern Utah 49-0. And I'm quite sure Southern Utah was like, man, these dudes are physical. because that's the brand of football that Whittingham got his players playing. In that game, they just was just smash mouth all day on those guys. Well, let me go back to the Arkansas game. The dude who was supposed to go to Texas, but ended up going to Utah, but then transferred to Arkansas to play running back. I can't think of his name right now, but he's a really good player. He actually came out as a quarterback, but he ended up switching to the running back position. Jaquindon Johnson, you balled out, bro. I saw you. Yeah, you balled out. Listen, he gonna be tough, man. He gonna be tough. He reminds me of Roshan Johnson, who transferred, who switched positions when he was at Texas from quarterback to running back. But only, Roshan Johnson was running back two. Jaquindon Johnson is running back one for the Arkansas Razorbacks. You balled out. I'm glad you played good yesterday. Keep that up. The last game I would have mentioned is the blowout by Illinois. Now, I'm a huge Illinois basketball fan, but I don't follow them in football because I follow them Longhorns. But I'm glad that Illinois was able to whip up on Eastern Illinois, another in-state team that they spent their money with so that they can keep the money in the state. Illinois 45 to nothing over Eastern Illinois. The thing I really liked about yesterday's games was the teams who had cupcake games, you shut those teams out. That's what I like to see. If you got a cupcake on your schedule, show them that, yeah, this is a cupcake game. This is a tune-up game. We're trying to play 66 players. We're trying to go three deep in this game. And it's okay because you're playing an in-state team that you can keep that money in the state and get that university a check so that they can keep their academics and their school rolling. So I ain't mad about that, but I'm glad you put it on them like you're supposed to. You didn't run up the score. You just beat them like you were supposed to. And I'm happy that Arkansas shut out Arkansas Pine Bluff 70 to nothing. I'm glad Missouri beat Murray State 51 to nothing. I'm glad that Utah beat Southern Utah 49 to nothing. And I'm glad that Illinois beat Eastern Illinois 45 to zip. Because that's what's supposed to happen in those games. Because you got to get as many guys playing time as possible to get them ready for this grueling season, especially if you plan on making it to the 12-team playoffs, where you might end up playing 15, 16 game seasons. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. That's unheard of in college football. The max would be like 15 games, but you're talking about 16, possibly 17 games. That's a lot. That's an NFL season. And we know how the NFL players feel about having to play that 17-game season. They got one of those preseason games taken away, didn't they? Because they knew if you're going to add this another regular season game, you got to give us something on the other end. So they took away a preseason game, which is cool because it's all about the money. It's all about the money. But anyway, I was happy with the way games went yesterday. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's games, especially that Georgia Clemson, that Miami Florida. I'm looking forward to that Texas A&M and Notre Dame game. I think it's another really good game too. Oh, let me look at my notes. USC and LSU on Sunday. That's going to be a good game. So I'm looking forward to all that. Hopefully, nephew, Don Spiller, USC can play a good game and make LSU look bad and give us some hope for them. Because I really don't have no hope for USC. I think they're going to probably go 6-6, something like that. With that Big Ten schedule they got, 6-6. Y'all gonna make a bowl game now, unless Lincoln Riley pulls something out of his hat offensively, which he can do because he's a heck of an offensive guru, so he can do that. But I just wanted to jump on real quick. I had a really good time yesterday too. Also, I want to mention this. I went to a banquet that these three organizations got together and had a banquet. Um, one of the banks was one of the organizations was our brothers keepers. Man, I knew these guys when they were young, and they got this organization where they're teaching young people um, skills with carpentry work, being able to build things, drywall. They had them out in the community cutting senior citizens' grass, yards, and stuff. I mean, just a beautiful organization. So, anybody in Columbus that can donate to this organization, please do so. The other organization was Hearts of Joe. And these young people were phenomenal. They are learning the skills of filmmaking, photography, being able to do videos and stuff like that. And these young people, man, I was so amazed at how smart they were, how intelligent they were, how well they spoke, just all around good children. And their parents were parents who don't come from good means, you know what I'm saying? They scraping and trying to make it the best they can. But they wanted their children to be involved in something this past summer that would allow them to learn a skill. And both of those organizations did that. The other organization is ran by George Reese, who was a former basketball player at Ohio State. And I can't remember the name of his organization, but the acronym is NWU. And listen, they deal with a lot of mental health stuff for young people, which is beautiful, man, because we know as a nation we are suffering from mental health things. And this organization is very powerful. And I'm glad to see those young people doing what they're doing. My nephew is one of the ones who works with Hearts of Joe. And so it was just a great banquet to be able to see those young people and their parents, and for them to receive certificates and just be able to be recognized for just being good young people. So it was awesome to be able to go there and see that yesterday. So I wanted to mention that. So anytime you want to donate to an organization, look those organizations up so that you can donate to them. I also ran into a very good friend who grew up across the street from me when I was a little guy, and he actually coached me in swimming as well when I swam for the Columbus Recreation and Park swim team over there in Windsor. David Horn, I ran into him, and he has an organization as well called Make the Right Choice. I think it's something along those lines. But he's working with young people as well, trying to help them to understand it is better to make the right choices instead of having to deal with the consequences of making a poor choice. So it was very good to be able to see all of them yesterday. I got to talk to him for a little while. And it just, man, I lit up when I seen him because I hadn't seen him in a while since I worked recreation and parks. And he would have those basketball camps with Jim Jackson back in the days, and I haven't seen him since then. But man, he was a sight for sore eyes. Not that my eyes were sore, but man, it was just good to see him because he's a very good human being, man. And I had a good time chopping it up with him at that banquet. So I have nothing else. I just wanted to get on real quick and talk about those games yesterday and share what I saw at that banquet yesterday with those young people. So I salute all of those people out there working with the young people, trying to keep them from making poor choices and just having a place for young people to go so that they don't have to be in them streets. So without anything else,